Hey YouTube, day 3 of saying Willeni, alright? And right now I'm streaming live on Twitch. As you can see, I'm gonna play TF2 in a bit. Right here, TF2 is ready to go. I'm gonna stream it live on Twitch. My Twitch is FZS11. It's FZS11. I know not like barely some people watch my videos or whatever, but I'm still gonna. Alright, let's go. Subscribe to Villainy, 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 subscribe to Villainy. Subscribe to Villainy, 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 subscribe to Will NE, 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 subscribe to Will NE. I'm gonna put this probably right here like this, so I can like actually play my game and focus, maybe a little bit in focus, but whatever. Subscribe to Will NE, 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 subscribe to Will NE. Subscribe to Villainy, 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 subscribe to. This looks really dodgy, but like I'm actually like streaming on Twitch like right now, like Team Fortress 2 and like stuff, so like. Subscribe to Villainy, 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 subscribe to Villainy. It's pretty dodgy if I can tell you myself, but like subscribe to Villainy, subscribe to Villainy, subscribe to Villainy. Subscribe to Villainy, subscribe to Villainy, subscribe to Villainy, subscribe to Villainy, subscribe to Villainy. Okay, I don't want people to like not watch my face, so like I'm just gonna like subscribe to Villainy, subscribe. I don't even know where I'm gonna put this, but let's subscribe to Villainy, 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 subscribe. This is pretty dodgy, I'm sorry. Subscribe to Villainy, 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 subscribe to Villainy. Subscribe to Villainy, 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 subscribe to Will NE, 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 subscribe to Will NE. Subscribe to Villainy, 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 subscribe to Will NE, 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 subscribe to Villainy, 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 subscribe to Villainy. Subscribe to Villainy, 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 subscribe to Will NE, 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 subscribe to Will NE. How do I change? subscribe to Lenny, 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 subscribe to Lenny. Alright, I'm gonna try to play subscribe to Lenny, 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 subscribe to Lenny. Subscribe to Lenny, 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 subscribe to Lenny. Subscribe to Lenny, 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 subscribe to Lenny. Subscribe to Lenny, 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 subscribe to Lenny. Subscribe to Lenny, 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 subscribe to Lenny. Subscribe to Lenny, 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 subscribe to Lenny. Subscribe to Lenny, 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 subscribe to Lenny. Subscribe to Lenny, 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 subscribe to Lenny. Subscribe to Lenny, 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 subscribe to Lenny. Subscribe to Lenny, 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 subscribe to Lenny. Subscribe to Lenny, 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 subscribe to Lenny. Subscribe to Lenny, 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 subscribe to Lenny. Subscribe to Lenny, 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 subscribe to Lenny. Subscribe to Lenny, 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 subscribe to Lenny. Subscribe to Lenny, 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 subscribe to Lenny. Subscribe to Lenny, 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 subscribe to Lenny. Subscribe to Lenny, 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 subscribe to Lenny. Subscribe to Lenny, 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 subscribe to Lenny. Subscribe to Lenny, 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 subscribe to Lenny. Subscribe to Lenny, subscribe to Lenny. Subscribe to Lenny, 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 subscribe to Lenny. Subscribe to Lenny, 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 subscribe to Lenny. Subscribe to Lenny, 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 subscribe to Lenny. Subscribe to Lenny, 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 subscribe to Lenny. Subscribe to Lenny, 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 subscribe to Lenny. Subscribe to Lenny, 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 subscribe to Lenny. Subscribe to Lenny, 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 subscribe to Lenny. Subscribe to Lenny, 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 subscribe to Lenny. Subscribe to Lenny, 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 subscribe to Lenny. Subscribe to Lenny, subscribe to Lenny, subscribe. What the hell is going on? Subscribe to Lenny, subscribe to Lenny, subscribe. Okay, let's start. Be a sniper, right? Subscribe to Lenny, subscribe to Lenny, subscribe to Lenny, subscribe to Lenny, subscribe to Lenny. Subscribe to Lenny, 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 subscribe to Lenny. Subscribe to Lenny, 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 subscribe to Lenny. subscribe to Villani, 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 subscribe to Will and E, 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 subscribe to effing Will and E, flipping, subscribe to flipping Will and E, subscribe to Will and E, innit, bro, subscribe to Will and E. Subscribe to Will and E, 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 innit, bro, subscribe to Will and E, innit, subscribe to Will and E, 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 subscribe to mother effing Will and E, subscribe to Will and E, subscribe to Will and E, subscribe to Will and E, please subscribe to Will and E, 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 subscribe to William Lenny, please subscribe to subscribe to Will and E, 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 subscribe to Will and subscribe to Lenny, 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 subscribe to Lenny. Subscribe to Lenny, 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 subscribe to Lenny. Subscribe to Lenny, 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 subscribe to Lenny. Subscribe to Lenny, 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 subscribe to Lenny. subscribe to Villani, subscribe to Villani. Subscribe to Villani, 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 subscribe to Villani. Subscribe to Villani, subscribe to Villani, subscribe to Villani, subscribe to Villani. I'm sorry I suck at this game, but I suck at every game I play, so like I'm not a flipping good gamer, but I'm a gamer. Subscribe to Villani, subscribe to Villani. Subscribe to Villani, 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 subscribe to Villani. Subscribe to Villani, subscribe to Villani, subscribe to Villani, subscribe to Villani, subscribe to Villani. Subscribe to Villani, 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 subscribe to Villani. Subscribe to Villani, 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 subscribe to Villani. Subscribe to Villani, 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 subscribe to Villani. Subscribe to Villani, 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 subscribe to Villani. The fuck was that? Subscribe to Villani, subscribe to Villani, subscribe to Villani, subscribe to Villani. Subscribe to subscribe to Villani, 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 subscribe to Villani. Subscribe to Villani, 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 subscribe to Villani. Subscribe to Villani, 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 subscribe to Villani. Subscribe to fucking Villani, subscribe to Villani. You know what? Fuck it. Subscribe to Villani, 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 subscribe to Villani. Subscribe to Villani, subscribe to Villani, subscribe to Villani, subscribe to Villani, subscribe to Villani. Subscribe to Villani, 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 subscribe to Villani. Subscribe to Villani, 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 subscribe to Villani. Subscribe to Villani, 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 subscribe to Villani. Subscribe to Villani, 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 subscribe to Villani. Subscribe to Villani, 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 subscribe to Villani. Subscribe to Villani, 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 subscribe to Villani. Subscribe to Villani, 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 subscribe to Villani. Subscribe to William Lenny, 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 subscribe to William Lenny. I don't like this game. Subscribe to Villani, 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 subscribe to Villani. Subscribe to Villani, 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 subscribe to Villani. Subscribe to Villani, 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 subscribe to Villani. Subscribe to Villani, 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 subscribe to Villani. subscribe to Villani, 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 subscribe to Villani. Subscribe to Villani, 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 subscribe to Villani. Subscribe to Villani, 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 subscribe to Villani. Subscribe to Villani, 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 subscribe to Villani. Subscribe to Villani, 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 subscribe to Villani. Subscribe to Villani, 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 subscribe to Villani. Subscribe to Villani, 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 subscribe to Villani. Subscribe to Villani, 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 subscribe to Villani. Subscribe to Villani, 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 subscribe to Villani. Subscribe to Villani, 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 subscribe to Villani. Subscribe to Villani, 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 subscribe to Villani. Subscribe to Villani, 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 subscribe to Villani. Subscribe to Villani, 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 subscribe to Villani. Subscribe to Villani, 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 subscribe to Villani. Subscribe to Villani, 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 subscribe to Villani. Subscribe to Villani, 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 subscribe to Villani. Subscribe to Villani, 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 subscribe to subscribe to Villani, 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 subscribe to Villani. Subscribe to Villani, 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 subscribe to Villani. Subscribe to Villani, 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 subscribe to Villani. Subscribe to Villani, 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 subscribe to Villani. Subscribe to Villani, 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 subscribe to Villani. Subscribe to Villani, 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 subscribe to Villani. Subscribe to Villani, 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 subscribe to Villani. Subscribe to Villani, 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 subscribe to Villani. Subscribe to Villani, 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 subscribe to Villani. Subscribe to Villani, 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 subscribe to Villani. Subscribe to Villani, 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 subscribe to Villani. Subscribe to Villani, 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 subscribe to Villani. Subscribe to Villani, subscribe to Villani, subscribe to Villani, subscribe to Villani. Subscribe to Villani, 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 subscribe to Villani. Subscribe to Villani, 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 subscribe to Villani. Subscribe to Lenny, 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 subscribe to Lenny. Subscribe to Lenny, 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 subscribe to Lenny. Subscribe to Lenny, 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 subscribe to Lenny. Subscribe to Lenny, 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 subscribe to Lenny. Subscribe to Lenny, 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 subscribe to Lenny. Subscribe to Lenny, subscribe to Lenny, subscribe to Lenny, subscribe to Lenny, subscribe to Lenny. Subscribe to Lenny, subscribe to Lenny, subscribe to Lenny, subscribe to Lenny, subscribe to Lenny. Subscribe to Lenny, subscribe to Lenny, subscribe to Lenny, subscribe to Lenny. Subscribe to Lenny, 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 subscribe to Lenny. Subscribe to Lenny, 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 subscribe. You flipping subscribe to Lenny. Subscribe to Lenny, 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 subscribe to Lenny. Subscribe to Lenny, 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 subscribe to Lenny. Subscribe to Lenny, 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 subscribe to Lenny. Subscribe to Lenny, subscribe to Lenny, subscribe to Lenny, subscribe to Lenny. I fucking hate this game. I'm out. Subscribe to Lenny, subscribe to Lenny, subscribe to Lenny. Subscribe to Lenny, 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 subscribe to Lenny. I don't want to play this game no more. But subscribe to Lenny, subscribe to Lenny, subscribe to Lenny. Subscribe to Lenny, subscribe to... Okay, what am I now? Subscribe to Lenny, subscribe to Lenny, subscribe to Lenny. Subscribe to Lenny, 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 subscribe to Lenny. Subscribe to Lenny, 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 subscribe to Lenny. Subscribe to Lenny, 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 subscribe to Lenny. Subscribe to Lenny, 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 subscribe to Lenny. Subscribe to Lenny, subscribe to Lenny, subscribe to Lenny, subscribe to Lenny, subscribe to Lenny. Subscribe to Lenny, subscribe to Lenny, subscribe to Lenny, subscribe to Lenny. Subscribe to Lenny, 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 subscribe to Lenny. Subscribe to Lenny, 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 subscribe to Lenny. Subscribe to Lenny, 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 subscribe to Lenny. Subscribe to Lenny, 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 subscribe to Lenny. Subscribe to Lenny, 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 subscribe to Lenny. Subscribe to Lenny, 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 subscribe to Lenny. Subscribe to Lenny, 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 subscribe to Lenny. Subscribe to Lenny, 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 subscribe to Lenny. Subscribe to William Lenny, subscribe to Will Lenny, subscribe to Will Lenny, subscribe to Lenny, subscribe to Lenny. Fuck this game, man. I honestly fucking hate this now. Subscribe to Lenny, 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 subscribe to Lenny. Subscribe to Lenny, subscribe to Lenny. What the How the this bitch ass came from? Fuck! Subscribe to Willene, subscribe to Willene, subscribe to Willene, subscribe to Willene, subscribe to Willene. Subscribe to Willene, subscribe to Willene, subscribe to Willene, subscribe to Willene, subscribe to Willene. Fucking hell. Subscribe to Willene, subscribe to Willene, subscribe to Willene, subscribe to probably in the bottom, right? Subscribe to Willene, 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 subscribe to Willene. Subscribe to Willene, 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 subscribe to Willene. Subscribe to Willene, 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 subscribe to Willene. Subscribe to Willene, 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 subscribe to Willene. Subscribe to Willene, 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 subscribe to Willene. Subscribe to Willene, 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 subscribe to Willene. Subscribe to Willene, 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 subscribe to Willene. Subscribe to Willene, 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 subscribe to Willene. Subscribe to Willene, 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 subscribe to Willene. Subscribe to Willene, 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 subscribe to Willene. Subscribe to Willene, 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 subscribe. Subscribe to Willene, subscribe. Subscribe to Willene, subscribe. Subscribe to Willene, 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 subscribe to Willene. Subscribe to Willene, subscribe to Willene, subscribe to Willene. The I don't know. Wow, of course they flipping picked me to be. Okay, this was a flippin' spy, innit? Fuck this game, man. Subscribe to Willene, subscribe to Willene. Fucking hell. Subscribe to Willene, 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 I don't even know what I've changed as. Okay. Subscribe to Willene, 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 subscribe to Willene. Subscribe to Willene, 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 subscribe to subscribe to Willene, subscribe to Willene, subscribe to Willene, subscribe to Willene. I fucking hate this game, man. Subscribe to Willene. Honestly, subscribe to Willene. Fuck this game. Subscribe to Willany, 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 subscribe to Willany. Subscribe to Willany, 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 subscribe to Willany. Subscribe to Willany, 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 subscribe to Willany. Subscribe to Willany, 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 subscribe to Willany. Subscribe to Willany, 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 subscribe to Willany. Subscribe to Willany, 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 subscribe to Willany. Subscribe to Willany, 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 subscribe to Willany. Please I'm not last at least. Subscribe to Willany, subscribe to Willany, subscribe to Willany, subscribe to Willany. Guess I don't care, man. Subscribe to Willany, subscribe to Willany. Subscribe to Willany, 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 subscribe to Willany. Don't care, subscribe to Willany. Subscribe to Willany, 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 subscribe to subscribe to Willany, 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 subscribe to this game fucking. Subscribe to Willany, 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 subscribe to Willany. Subscribe to Willany, subscribe to Willany, subscribe to Willany, subscribe to Willany, subscribe to Willany. Subscribe to Willany, 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 subscribe to Willany. Subscribe to Willany, 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 subscribe to Willany. Subscribe to Willany, 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 subscribe to Willany. Subscribe to Willany, 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 subscribe to Willany. Subscribe to Willany, 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 subscribe to Willany. Subscribe to Willany, 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 subscribe to Willany. Subscribe to Willany, 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 subscribe to Willany. Subscribe to Willany, 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 subscribe to Willany. Subscribe to Willany, 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 subscribe to Willany. Subscribe to Willany, 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 subscribe to Willany. Subscribe to Willany, 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 subscribe to Willany. Subscribe to Willany, 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 subscribe to Willany. Subscribe to Willany, 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 subscribe to Willany. Subscribe to Willany, 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 subscribe to Willany. Subscribe to Willany, 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 subscribe to Willany. Subscribe to Willany, 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 subscribe to Willany. subscribe to Willany, 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 subscribe to Willany. Subscribe to Willany, 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 subscribe to Willany. Subscribe to Willany, 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 subscribe to Willany. Subscribe to Willany, 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 subscribe to Willany. Subscribe to Willany, subscribe to Willany, subscribe to Willany, subscribe to Willany, subscribe to Willany. Subscribe to Willany, 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 subscribe to Willany. Subscribe to Willany, 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 subscribe to Willany. Subscribe to Willany, subscribe to Willany, subscribe to Willany, subscribe to Willany, subscribe to Willany. Subscribe to Willany, 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 subscribe to Willany. Subscribe to Willany, subscribe to Willany, subscribe to Willany. Subscribe to Willany, subscribe to Willany. Subscribe to Willany, subscribe to Willany, subscribe to Willany. Subscribe to Willany, 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 subscribe to Willany. Subscribe to Willany, 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 subscribe to Willany. Subscribe to Willany, 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 subscribe to Willany. Subscribe to Willany, 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 subscribe to Willany. Subscribe to Willany, 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 subscribe to Willany. Subscribe to Willany, 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 subscribe to Willany. Subscribe to Willany, 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 subscribe to Willany. Subscribe to Willany, 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 subscribe to Willany. Subscribe to Willany, subscribe to Willany, subscribe to Willany, subscribe to Willany, subscribe to Willany. Subscribe to Willany, 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 subscribe to Willany. Subscribe to Willany, 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 subscribe to Willany. Subscribe to Willany, 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 subscribe to Willany. Subscribe to Willany, 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 subscribe to Willany. Bro, subscribe to Willany, subscribe to Willany, subscribe to Willany. Subscribe to Willany, 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 subscribe to Willany. Subscribe to Willany, subscribe to Willany, subscribe to Willany, subscribe to Willany, subscribe to Willany. Subscribe to Willany, 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 subscribe to Willany. Subscribe to Willany, 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 subscribe to Willany. Who is this? Subscribe to Willany, 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 subscribe to Willany. Subscribe to Willany, subscribe to Willany, subscribe to Willany, subscribe to Willany, subscribe. What's wrong with you, bro? What's wrong with you? Subscribe to Willany, 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 subscribe to Willany. What the? I don't want to play this game no more. Subscribe to Willany, subscribe to Willany, subscribe to Willany, subscribe to Willany. Subscribe to Willany, 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 subscribe to Willany. Subscribe to villainy, subscribe to villainy, subscribe to villainy, subscribe to villainy, subscribe to villainy. Subscribe to villainy, 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 subscribe to villainy. I think this is my longest streamer, more than 40 minutes. Subscribe to villainy, 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 subscribe to villainy. Oh, maybe I might have longer. Yes, I don't remember. But subscribe to villainy, 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 subscribe to villainy. Subscribe to villainy, 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 subscribe to villainy. Subscribe to villainy, 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 subscribe to villainy. Ah, perfect. I just found it like in 46 minutes in, and I find the perfect position. Nice. Subscribe to villainy, 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 subscribe to villainy. Subscribe to villainy, 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 subscribe to villainy. Subscribe to villainy, 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 subscribe. Subscribe to villainy, subscribe to villainy, subscribe to villainy, subscribe to villainy, subscribe to villainy. Subscribe to villainy, 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 subscribe to villainy. Subscribe to villainy, 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 subscribe to villainy. Subscribe to villainy, 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 subscribe to villainy. I don't understand what our mission in this game is, but subscribe to villainy. Subscribe to Willany, subscribe to Willany. I got so into the game that I forgot. Subscribe to Willany. Subscribe to Willany, 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 subscribe to Willany. Subscribe to Willany, 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 subscribe to Willany. Subscribe to Will and E, 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 subscribe to Will and E. Subscribe to Will and E, subscribe to Will and E. Subscribe to Will and E, subscribe to Will and E. What the f just happened? Subscribe to Willany, 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 subscribe to Willany. Subscribe to Willany, subscribe to Willany, subscribe to come on, subscribe to Willany, subscribe to Willany, subscribe to Willany, subscribe to Willany, subscribe to Willany. Subscribe to Willany, 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 subscribe to Willany. Subscribe to Willany, 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 subscribe to Willany. Subscribe to Willany, 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 subscribe. If you watch my stream, I will shit at this game. Subscribe to Willany, subscribe to Willany, subscribe to Willany, subscribe to Willany. Subscribe to Willany, 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 subscribe to Willany. Subscribe to Willany, 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 subscribe to Willany. Can't believe he just subscribed to Willany. Subscribe to Willany, subscribe to Willany, subscribe to Willany, subscribe to Willany, subscribe to Willany. Subscribe to Willany, please subscribe to Willany, 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 subscribe to Willany. Please subscribe to Willany, please subscribe to Willany, subscribe to Willany, subscribe to Willany, subscribe to Willany, subscribe to Willany. Subscribe to Willany, subscribe to Willany, subscribe to Willany, subscribe to Willany, subscribe. Subscribe to Willany, 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 subscribe to Willany. Can't be bothered, man. Subscribe to Willany, 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 subscribe to Willany. Can't even be bothered right now. Please don't at me, please. Subscribe to Willany, 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 subscribe to Willany. Subscribe to Willany, 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 subscribe to Willany. Subscribe to Willany, 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 subscribe. Swear to God, subscribe to Willany right now. Subscribe to Willene, 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 subscribe to Willene. Subscribe to Will FNNE, 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 subscribe to Will FNNE. What the subscribe to Will FNNE, 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 subscribe to Will FNNE. Subscribe to Willene, 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 subscribe to Willene. Subscribe to Willene, 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 subscribe to Willene. Subscribe to Willene, 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 subscribe to Willene. Subscribe to Willene, 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 subscribe to Willene. Subscribe to Willene, 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 subs Subscribe to Willene, 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 subscribe to Willene. Subscribe to Willene, 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 subscribe to Willene. Subscribe to Willene, 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 subscribe to Willene. Subscribe to Lenny, 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 subscribe to Lenny. Subscribe to Lenny, 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 subscribe to Lenny. Subscribe to Lenny, 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 subscribe to Lenny. Subscribe to willne, 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 subscribe to willne. Subscribe to Lenny, 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 subscribe to Lenny. Subscribe to Lenny, 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 subscribe to Lenny. Subscribe to Lenny, 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 subscribe to Lenny. Subscribe to Lenny, 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 subscribe to Lenny. Subscribe to Lenny, 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 subscribe to Lenny. Subscribe to Lenny, 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 subscribe to Lenny. Subscribe to willne, subscribe to willne, subscribe to willne, subscribe to. I'm sorry if this video is just like a lot of me just sitting and saying nothing. That's fucking stupid. But subscribe to willne, subscribe to willne. Subscribe to willne, subscribe to willne, subscribe to willne. Subscribe to willne, 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 subscribe to willne. Subscribe to willne, 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 subscribe to willne. Subscribe to willne, 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 subscribe to willne. Subscribe to willne, 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 subscribe to willne. Subscribe to willne, 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 subscribe to willne. Subscribe to willne, 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 subscribe to willne. Subscribe to willne, 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 subscribe to willne. Subscribe to willne, 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 subscribe to willne. Subscribe to willne, 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 subscribe to willne. Subscribe to willne, 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 subscribe to willne. Subscribe to willne, 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 subscribe to willne. Subscribe to willne, 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 subscribe to willne. Subscribe to willne, 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 subscribe to willne. subscribe to Willene, 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 subscribe to Willene. I don't even know where I'm going, but subscribe to Willene, 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 subscribe to Willene. Subscribe to Willene, 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 subscribe to Willene. Subscribe to Willene, subscribe to Willene, subscribe to Willene, subscribe to Willene. I don't even know what's happening. Subscribe to Willene, 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 subscribe to Willene. Subscribe to Willene, 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 subscribe to Willene. Subscribe to Willene, 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 subscribe to Willene. Subscribe to Willene, 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 subscribe to Willene. Subscribe to Willene, 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 subscribe to Willene. Subscribe to Willene, 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 subscribe to Willene.
Competition begins.
Okay, subscribe to Willene. Please subscribe to Willene, alright? Yeah, brother. Yeah, brother. Subscribe to Willene, inne. Subscribe to Willene, brother. Subscribe to Willene, subscribe to Willene, subscribe to Willene. Subscribe to Willene, subscribe to Willene, subscribe to Willene, subscribe to Willene, subscribe to Willene. Subscribe to Willene, 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 subscribe to Willene. Subscribe to Willene, 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 subscribe to Willene. Subscribe to Willene, 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 subscribe to Willene. Subscribe to Willene, 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 subscribe to Willene. Subscribe to Willene, 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 subscribe to Willene.
Now on, losing is
Subscribe to Willene, 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 subscribe.
forward.
Subscribe to Willene, subscribe to Willene, subscribe to Willene, subscribe to Willene, subscribe to Willene. Subscribe to Willene, 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 subscribe to Willene.
Assistance Peter. Medic.
Subscribe to Willene, subscribe to Willene, subscribe to Willene, subscribe to Willene.
Doctor.
Subscribe to Willene, subscribe to Willene, subscribe to Willene, subscribe to Willene. Subscribe to Willene, subscribe to Willene, subscribe to Willene, subscribe to Willene. Subscribe to Willene, 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 subscribe to Willene. Subscribe to Willene, 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 subscribe to Willene. Subscribe to Willene. Subscribe to Willene, 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 subscribe to Willene. Subscribe to Willene, 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 subscribe. Subscribe to Willene, 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 subscribe to Willene. Subscribe to Willene, subscribe to Willene, subscribe to Willene, subscribe to Willene, subscribe to Willene. Subscribe to Willene, subscribe to Willene, subscribe to Willene, subscribe to Willene. subscribe to Willene, 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 subscribe to Willene. Subscribe to Willene, 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 subscribe to Willene. Okay, bye.